Welcome to Disability Book Week Superstar Authors. I'm your host, Tasia Talinar. Let's set the scene. I'm sitting here today dressed in my Rare Disease Day shirt. Um, I'm sitting next to my cat, who sits in her own gaming chair. And behind me, there's my piano and my flute, some of my favorite things that I like to do in my free time. And our superstar author today is Kelley M. Lights. She's wearing a red shirt with a pair of blue glasses, and she has a number of her books behind her. Some dragon and uh, cats. Well, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. It's weird to be on this side of the interview.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am the mom of 5 amazing children. I am a retired teacher. I love to write picture books and host critique groups. I am a mini stroke survivor. I had radiation on a brain tumor. Um, I am doing the best I can to get happy, good books out into the world.
Yeah. Something to be proud of.
Thank you.
Oh, why don't you tell me a bit about your book today?
Oh, all right. So this book that I'm going to tell you about today is called Panic and the Happy Thought. This book is the first book that I wrote after having a mini stroke and learning how to do a lot of things again. So I'm really, really proud of this one. It is illustrated by Soderborg, who is the roommate that I had in college, who my youngest daughter Molly is named after. So Molly is named after Anne Soderberg's mom. Panic and the Happy Thought is the story of a child who struggles to leave the house. She has severe anxiety. She doesn't like to leave the house. And she has a happy thought. And what a happy thought is basically a necklace that has a picture of her karate club. And whenever she looks at that picture, she knows that she's going someplace where they love her. And so that happy thought helps transition from that really anxious state to I know where I'm going. I know how to get what happens when I get there. I can make it. And so it's getting ready for karate and her happy thought is missing and she tailspins into a mindset of she just doesn't even want to go if she doesn't have her happy thought. And this story came about because I have a son who really struggled to leave the house. And every time we would try to go anywhere, to the grocery store, to Boy Scouts, anywhere, he would just panic. And it was so funny because he would panic until we would get there and then we'd open the door and he'd be fine. He'd be like, "Yeah, I'm here." And so I asked him one day, I was like, "What is it that made you so what's the change?" And he's like, "I know how they feel about me. I know that I am liked there." Or when we go to the grocery store, he would be like, "I know I'm getting ice cream." So that's where Panic and the Happy Thought came from. It's a social emotional learning book helping kids deal with those big emotions.
I can definitely vibe with that. Oh, I deal with a bit of anxiety myself, and getting places, leaving the house is the hardest part. Like, why don't you tell me a little bit about your writing process that got you to where you are now?
So this book was a fun one. I learned how to storyboard, which was something I never even thought. I thought with a story you just write down the words and that was it. And for this one it was I wrote down the words, which was great, but then I needed to storyboard. So what I did is I got these index cards and I would write down these hilarious little sketches because I can't draw. For example, here's a drawing of my chicken from my Merriweather story, so I can't draw, so I had these little index cards, and I would be able to put my entire story on multiple index cards, and I would sit in church on Sunday, and my husband plays the piano, and my son would lead the music, so I'd have the whole pew to myself, and I would just arrange my story and be able to get my story exactly how I wanted it, and it was great. The little boys on the back would be like, "What you working on now?" And it was just this awesome, awesome experience. And it went from there to my husband really wanted an iPad. And so he bought me an iPad thinking that I wouldn't want it. and I realized that I actually really liked it, and it was a lot easier than having stacks of index cards. So now I do all of my storyboards. I put them all on my iPad, and I'm able to actually lay the story out and work things out. And then I brought this to a critique group for about 2 years. So it took about 2 years of 8 times a week, bringing it to a critique group, getting it to where it needed to be. And then I reached out to, my old roommate from college and asked if her daughter would be, willing to illustrate it, and she was. And that process took about a year, and then I did a Kickstarter to launch it, and here it is.
It's a beautiful cover.
Thank you.
Um, you do the storyboarding for all of your books?
Yeah, so I found like when somebody's trying to write a book, I found that a lot of times they just have the words and they don't have that dynamic page turn. So the whole point of storyboarding out a story is that you actually have those page turns. You're actually able to know when to turn the page and you're excited to turn the page. So storyboarding is definitely something I do with all of my books just because I'm a visual learner and to me it just makes sense to be able to turn those pages and to know if the page turns are working or not.
It's really cool. So do you have any advice for someone who's writing a book?
Be kind to yourself. It takes a really long time to publish a book. It is one of those things that it's not a quick and easy process. I found usually the people that say, I wrote it in 4 hours and then they publish it are really missing out on the joy of the messy middle, which is taking it to critique groups, getting it edited, getting it looked at, um, following the process all the way through and not trying to rush it. Finding the right illustrators, be willing to work with the illustrators. I have an illustrator, who's been working on a story now for 2 years, and I'll wait for her to finish it because she's amazing. So there's no panic in publishing books or writing books. It's all about figuring out what works best for you and taking your time. Whether you indie publish or you try to find a traditional publisher, just know that it takes time and give yourself that time to actually be able to write a book that you are proud of instead of trying to rush the process. This is a cute cat.
Okay, here, asking for treats. Yeah. And so, hi. Would you be willing to read your favorite part of your story?
I would love to. At this point, in Panic and the Happy Thought, they are, Ryan and her mom are desperately searching for the happy thought. And what I love is they're searching everywhere. So I don't know if you've ever had, well, a neurodivergent child will leave stuff anywhere and it makes no sense where they have left it. And that's why she's looking inside the flower pot. So she has looked everywhere. They've looked all over the house. They looked in the car, everywhere. And so she says, I lost my happy thought. And this is where she's at. She's done. And she screams out, I don't want to go. And that point her mom comes and she's like, all right, let's practice some breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And then they start talking about what can they do? What actionable tasks can they do? Her mom says, let's sit and remember what a happy thought is. And she's like, my happy thought is a picture of my friends at karate. It reminds me that I love to be there. And so then the brainstorming continues into finding other ways to come up with a happy thought to leave. And what I absolutely love about the book at the very end of the book, there is a spot for you to draw your own happy thoughts. So you have your happy thoughts when you go places.
That's really inspirational. Like, it gives people a good sounding board when, getting out of the house is hard.
Exactly.
But a
Exactly.
lot of people who deal with that, me included. And just want to thank you so much for coming and letting me host. It's been a lot of fun. I love listening to you talk about your stories. I just wanted to know, do you have any last words before we end?
I just want to say that thank you. First of all, thank you for hosting the interview. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to say that it's so important that people find themselves in stories, because so many times people feel like they're different or they're odd or they're wrong or there's something broken in them because they don't see themselves in stories. And so that's why I love Disability Book Week, because it is allowing people to see themselves represented in books. And I think that is immensely important in today's world.
Like, thank you so much for coming. You're amazing.